Hi, Jonah here with Parts Built 3D, and today I'm going to show you the new Guider 4 multi-material 3D printer from Flashforge. This was just released or just announced a short while ago, and we were up at a Rapid and we saw it. Now I have it here, and I'm going to kind of go over it a little bit with you and show you some of the things I like about it. Next to it here on the left is the AD5X, just for a size comparison. As you can see, the Guider 4 is quite a bit bigger. It's a 300 by 300 by 300 millimeter build volume. And I don't know the exact specs on it yet. I'm guessing the nozzle will go up to about 300 C and the pleated bed will probably do about 110, pretty standard. It's an open printer, but it does look to me like it would be pretty easy to enclose. You just need to put a door on the front and then build some sort of plexiglass top cover for it, as opposed to the AD5X, which you'd have to enclose 3 sides and the top. So I think that's kind of nice. There is also a Guider 4 Pro that was announced, and that is fully enclosed, has a heated chamber, and I believe it has a spot inside the chamber for a filament. So you can have like a moisture sensitive filament in there, and the heated chamber will keep that from absorbing moisture. They both have the multi-material system right here. One thing I did notice that I liked, and I think it's an improvement on the Guider 4 over the AD5X, is the AD5X filament spools use these little rewind, auto rewind spools. So as the filament's pulling off it, it kind of pulls forward like this, and then when it backs off, making a cut for multi-material or something, it'll kind of pull the spool back, so you don't have filament popping off the filament spool and causing a tangle. And this sort of system is common with the multi-material systems. The issue I have with this on the 85X is it's a little bit limited to, well, not limited, but it works best with plastic spools that have a complete hub in the middle. And a lot of the spools that we see nowadays are cardboard spools like this that have kind of a hollow hub. And the issue is when you put it on, it's gonna be a little hard to do here, but when you put it on, it sits there, but not perfectly. It doesn't grab exactly like you might want it to. It kind of sits cockeyed a little bit. Works perfectly. I've been doing a lot of prints with it. I haven't had an issue, but that brings us to the improvement on the Guider 4. And I really like this. These are the auto rewind spool holders on the Guider 4. And as you can see, the filament will fit on there nicely. And they have a very nice rewind feature. Quite nice. So that I see as an improvement over the 85X. The nice thing is these will pop off and they will slide onto the AD5X. So as soon as I'm able to get these in stock, I think they'd be a worthwhile upgrade for anybody that has an AD5X. Okay, so this is looking inside the chamber, and we have off camera here, but we have the removable magnetic build surface, which you see a lot these days. It's pretty common. It's very nice because you can flex it, get the parts off it. I also have a Adventure 5M Pro, and one of the improvements I see on both the 85X and the Guider 4 over the 5M Pro is this front cover no longer has a wire attaching the fan to the main extruder housing. So when you take this off to access the nozzle and everything, it's super easy. You don't have to unplug any wires or anything. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so this is the hot end on the Guider 4. And it's the same hot end as the AD5X has, and I'm assuming the Guider 4 Pro, though I haven't seen the hot end on that printer yet. You got your silicone sock, and I love the way Flashforge did this. They made these nozzles super easy to replace. It's one of the best systems I think I've seen so far. You pop off this is the heat sink, and it just magnets on there right now. It stays loose on there, and then when you magnet it, it grabs the upper portion, the heat break portion of the nozzle, and helps pull the heat away. I don't think it would hurt to put a little boron nitrate paste right in there to give yourself a little bit of extra thermal conductivity. So to take the nozzle off, make sure you let it cool down first. You just pull this little lever here. You don't even need to open that. You just take it out and you take the nozzle out. So to put it back in, basically it's the same thing in reverse. Make sure, and I've made this mistake, make sure the little tabs, they're the Z height, I guess, alignment tabs. Make sure those are faced towards the back of the hot end. Then you just put it in and it just kind of make sure it won't come up and down. That's how you know you have it in the right spot. And then pull this little latch around, just push it like that. It's latched. Nozzle sock, I found it's easiest. Start at the bottom, put the nozzle through at the bottom, and then just push the top on like so. This is supposed to remain loose. In there is your heat break. You could, if you wanted to, put a little boron nitrate paste right there and close it up, give you a little more thermal conductivity. Then put this back on. And boom. That's it. So that's the nozzle change. I like that. I think it's pretty nice, pretty simple. One of the easiest nozzle changes I've seen. Okay, a quick look on the left side of the printer here. See if I can get this so we can see it. It's a little hard to see, but this is the poop chute, and that's where all your filament purges come out. And there's these little tab holes here and on the other side. And I think that would make it possible to print up a little trash can that would go in here and just snap in and kind of hang there and catch all your filament. And speaking of the poop chute, let's take a look at the inside and see what we got right up there. So there it is, and got this little mechanism, slides back and forth, a little cleaning. That's pretty much it. Okay, here we've got the multi-material system, and pop this little push-fit connector clip off, but it basically goes in just as your standard multi-material system goes in these days. You just slide it right in here, push down, and it's clipped in. Once you pull that tab, put that little tab in. That's that. Feeds around here to the, I guess we'd call this the filament feeder, or the actual, I think Flashforge calls it an IFS system. Intelligent Filament System. So this is it. You got your 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's really simple when you're setting it up. You just put it on, clip it in, and then plug it in on this side. And I can't see what I'm doing here, so it's going to be a little hard lining it up. All right, I'll move around. There we go. Okay. So I think that is pretty much everything, about this printer that's kind of different or new that I like. It's a nice printer. If you look down here, I don't know if you can see down inside here. Maybe I'll bring the camera down. So if you look right here, I think in the Adventure or the Guider 4 Pro, I think that's where a filament spool would go. Not 100% on that. That's what I think. Okay, let's take a look at the touchscreen. And we'll go through some of the menus here. Let's see, we have our print menu. So you can print from the memory on the printer or print from an SD card, which I don't have one in there right now. We have, you can sort it by time, and then you can delete different ones if you want to. Maybe rename. Or you can move it to the USB drive. Okay, select them all. All right, we'll exit out of here. So if you upload from your computer over your local area network and you have it on here, you can then move it to a USB drive. Let's see, right here we have our multi-filament system and where we control that. Now, it won't show you anything until you put filament in. So let's put some filament in here. There we go. So there's the filament we loaded, and I believe you can edit the filament. Yes, so this is actually PLA that I loaded, and it's not red, it's black. So we'll change it. Okay. So then you could do that on the other 4 spools. And then a little question mark. Okay, some guides, nozzle usage guides. Then we have settings. And this is where we get to move the printer around. It probably won't let me do it unless I home first. Yep. So I'm not going to home right now because that'll take a minute. Let's see. So we have our Wi-Fi connection, Ethernet, static IP, or network mode. And this has a lane-only mode, which doesn't, apparently it doesn't let it access beyond your local area network. So it's not going to connect to the internet if you're in lane only mode. I kind of like that. I keep it turned on. And over here, we can do our calibrations. So we have leveling, vibration compensation, and extruder temperature calibration. So when you first get the printer, you'll do all that. And then you don't really need to do it again unless you run into issues like, becomes unlevel or your prints are getting a little ringing or something, then you do vibration compensation. And then down here we have information, printer name. You can set different groups for your printer. Nozzle mode, you tell it which nozzle. So when you change out the nozzle, you want to come here and you want to change it to the size of nozzle you change it to. You can choose a language. There's quite a few different languages here. Stick with English, or I will not be able to get it back to English. Firmware update, IFS update. That's this unit that controls the different filaments. And then my account, not sure what that is, but we're in lane mode, so we can't access my account. So that must be a cloud-based thing. Copy logs, insert a USB drive to do that. Go to page 2. We have factory reset, maintenance guide. Kind of tells you different things, when to perform vibration compensation, when to perform leveling and calibration. We have after-sales support. So that's support at flashforge.com. And then your license. Let's see, status. So this tells you kind of what's what. We have the filament's not all the way in the extruder, so it's not seeing the filament in the extruder right now. Cutting, IFS is ready. This printer does not have a camera, I do not believe. Doesn't feel like it does. That would be probably the Guider 4 Pro. And then we go here, and this tells us each IFS channel. So we just have filament in channel 1, so it says present. Let's see what else we got. Odometer, I'm not sure what that is. I mean, most likely tells you how much filament you've used, probably during a print, because it doesn't look like it's giving me anything here, and I've done a few prints. And this is some other information. So if you want to test maybe y-axis limit, I'm not sure if I slide this forward, it triggered, and then x-axis, we go, triggered. So you can kind of test your limit switches, which is nice. Z-axis is already triggered because the bed's all the way at the bottom. And then you can, I'm not sure why you'd need to do this, but maybe just for testing purposes, move the extruder to the waste tray position or move it to the cutter striker position. Top door status closed, front door status closed. This printer doesn't have a top door or front door, so it doesn't apply to this one. I'm guessing that's for the Guider 4 Pro. All right, so that is the whole, I think I went through everything there. What's this? Okay, this is just basic info about the printer. And then you can manually set your temperature. So if you want to manually load, I guess you could manually set your temperature here. Yeah, so that pretty much covers it. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down here. Let's see, do you want to turn off the printer? Yes. So a few more things. I wanted to measure these rods. So we got 16 millimeter Z-axis rods and the X and Y are both 10 millimeter rods. So they got some nice sturdy rods on here. It's a nice printer. I hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching.